Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Alice here, and in this video I'll be showing you all how to paint a chocolate donut with watercolors. So let's get started. So the materials that I'll be using are my watercolor sketchbook. For the watercolor painting you will need a thick paper. You can use any other watercolor paper that you have. Then you will also need a pencil and brushes. I'll be using brush size 4/8 and also a small size brush. Then you will need 2 jars of water, one for dirty water and the other one for the clean water. You will also need some paper towels or tissue papers. Then you will also need some watercolors. I'm going to be using this watercolor cakes from Camelin. And those are all the supplies that you will need. And now let's get started with the painting. So first we're going to get started by drawing the donut. So I'm using a 2 head sized pencil, but any pencil that is light will also be fine. So we'll start this donut drawing with a oval circle or ovalish circle. So this is the shape that you want to draw. Then after you're done drawing this shape, you want to draw a smaller circle in the middle, like this. After done with this, we're going to make another line inside that hole, like this. After you're done with that, we'll make some wiggly lines to show that the frosting and the base of the donut is separated. So first draw it very lightly, and then after you're done drawing it lightly, you can go ahead and darken it up. Like this. Then you want to continue this line across, because when the frosting is put on the donut, it makes another layer, so you want to show that little thickness of the frosting, like this. Then we will rub the inside line. Okay, so we're done with drawing the donut. Now we'll put some little lines everywhere for the sprinkles, and then you want to double the lines like this, and you want to do this all over the frosting area. Like this. I'm done with all the sprinkles. If you don't want the sprinkles to be in this shape, you can also put them in a circular shape or any other type of sprinkles that you want to put, you can do it. And I'm going to make it a chocolate donut, but you can make it in any other color. Okay, so I'm done with my pencil sketch. Now I'm going to take my Technical pens. These are from Bristol and they're the Technical pens, and I'm using 0.1 size, and I'm going to use this size and outline everything including the sprinkles. You can turn your page anytime to get a more comfortable way of doing it. And then after you're done with that, to fill up the extra space, you can put just little dots like this. After we add the paint, these dots will not be seen much, but still if you want to add, then you can add it. And then using an even more smaller sized point, this is 0.05, I'm just going to do these little lines to give the texture of the bread. You can do this type of texturing for the icing also, but I'm not going to do it for the icing. I'm just going to do it for the crust part, the bread part. Okay, so we're done with the sketching part. We're done with all the sketching part, and now let's get into painting. So first we're going to make some paint for the crust part, the bread part first. So for the colors, you will need some yellow ochre, You can use yellow ochre directly, but I want to mix the yellow ochre with some burnt ember to give more darkness to the color. So I added a lot of water to the paint to make it nice and good to paint with. So I'm done mixing the color for the crust. So we'll take some of this paint and we'll just add it to the crust like this. So in watercolors, to get a lighter color, you have to add a lot of water. And if you want to get a darker color, then you have to add a lot of pigment and less water. So here we are looking for a more lighter color to start with. So you want to add a lot of water and very less paint. So you want the bottom part, which is this portion, to be a little bit more darker than the top part. But before we do the darkness, we'll first cover the whole crust part with the burnt ember and yellow ochre mixture. Like this. In case there's too much water on your page, you can just use some tissue paper to dab and take it. When you're dabbing and taking it, it also takes some paint, so you will get more lighter color, but as we're going to put more color on top of it, it's fine. Okay, so now we'll get started to do some shadows. So we'll take some of that paint, and you want to add more paint and a little less amount of water this time because you're going for a more darker color. But still you want to have a lot of water. So we're going to take this color and put it in the bottom half of the donut. Like this. I'm just going to cover it in the half of the portion, and then taking some water in my brush, I'm going to spread it everywhere else. Like this. Now I'm going to take more paint. So I'm going to make it a tiny bit more thicker, adding more color to it. And I'm going to take my paint and add it on the corner. As my paint is still wet, the color will spread like this. If your paint is not wet, then you can add some more water. And then if your paint is not spreading really well, you can spread it using a brush like this. Now I would like to give some texture to the crust part. So for that, I'm going to take a little bit more smaller size brush. I'm going to take more brown color. This is burnt ember, but you can use any other brown color that you want to use. So I'm going to take more brown and add more brown to the color, which will make it more darker. And then as my page is still a little wet, the colors will just bloom. As you can see that it's blooming. So you want that to bloom really well, and this will give that crust texture to it. If you don't want to do it like dots, you can also do it like lines. And in case it is not spreading really well, then you can use some water to just spread it. Okay, so now let's do the chocolate frosting on the top. So first we're going to mix up a very dark brown. So I'm going to take some burnt ember. I'll be using burnt ember only for the chocolate. But if you want, you can also add any other shade of brown or use any other shade of brown, and that's okay. Then I'm going to take some black, and you want to add a very less amount of black. And if you've added a lot of brown, then you can add according to that. So if I mix it like this, you get a very, very dark shade of the brown, as you can see. You don't want to make it too black in color, but you want to make it a little bit more darker brown. So we'll use this nice chocolatey color for the bottom part, which is this portion. And for the lighter parts, we'll use the burnt ember. The burnt ember with a lot of water. As you can see, I'm adding a lot of water to my burnt ember to give it more lighter color. And if you want, you can also add some yellow ochre to the color. But you want to keep it in a brown color because this is chocolate. But as I said before, you can use any other flavor or any other color that you want for the frosting. So we'll just get started with the dark color. So I'm having some dark color in my brush, and I'm going to paint the lower half where the frosting and the base meets, this portion. You want to make it a very dark color because the frosting from the top is melting here, so it will give more frosting and make it more in a darker color. So you just want to make it more darker. If you want more darker color, you can add a little bit more of the black. It looks like it's a black color here, but you want to still keep it a little brown. But when we are going to spread it with the water, the brown color will come. In case the edges get a little untidy, you can just go back in and neaten it up. Like this. Okay, so I'm done with that step, and you want to take some water on your brush, and you don't want any paint. And using the water, you just want to spread it. You want to spread this dark paint everywhere. You want to use some clean water for this step. If you see that there is any too much water on the corners, then just use a tissue paper to take it off. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we'll take more of the brown color that we mixed, and we'll add that to the bottom half. As the page is still wet, the colors will again spread. But if it's not spreading, again you can add some water to that place. And then using my brush with some water, again I'm going to spread it. But this time you don't have to spread it all the way to the top. You can just spread it a little bit, and After you're done with that, you can just add more paint as you go along to make it more darker. So now I'm going to use some burnt sienna. This is also another brown color, and I'll be using this color, and I'm going to mix this color with my brown and black mixture to give more reddish color to it. And you just want to keep on adding the color to make it more darker. You want to have a very dark color on the bottom, and you want to have a slightly lighter color as you go on the top. So as you can see that there's a lot of water on the page, so that is why the color is nicely bleeding and spreading everywhere. So we had mixed up a lighter color, which is a mixture of burnt ember and yellow ochre. So you can use that mixture for the top to give it more color, more brighter color. But if you don't want to use it, then you can use the water only. So watercolor dries more lighter when it after it dries, the darker colors will get more lighter. So you want to paint it as dark as you can, or else you'll have to do a second coat. You have to paint it one more time after it dries, because sometimes watercolor dries more lighter. So if paint has gone on the side like this, then you can just use some water and just take it away like this. Then use a dry brush and to just scoop it out like this. If you don't want to do it like this, then you can use a tissue paper to just take it out. Now we'll paint the inside part. So for the inside part, we'll use that yellow ochre and burnt ember mixture that we used for the top. I want to use this color, but you can use the same burnt ember black mixture that we used over here, more in a lighter consistency. With a lot of water and less paint. So then I painted the top half with a more darker color with the burnt ember mixture. And if it gets mixed, it's also fine. It'll give a more nicer look to the picture. Then you want to use a very thick consistency of the paint to paint on the sprinkles. It's okay if the sprinkle color merges with the other color. It'll give a more nicer look again. Or you can let it dry and then do it. But I want to add it in now as I like that blooming effect. Okay, so I'm done with that. In the very end, you can just add a little bit more color to the crust if you want. But you can skip this step also. So last but not least, I'm going to take some black color and I'm going to just add a lot of water and get a nice light consistency of it to get a nice gray color. And I'm going to use my brush to just spread it to give more shadow. You can also add white to the black to get a gray, but I didn't, I just used water. So that's how you paint this chocolate donut with watercolors. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did enjoy this tutorial, don't forget to like this video and also subscribe my channel for more new videos. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!